Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, yet more allegations of corruption against the Premier League. Dominguez linked away from Forest. Nottingham Forest step up the chase for Loku. And Gimenez confirms interest from Forest in the striker. All this and plenty more coming up today on your latest Forest news. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest news. And if you're enjoying the content, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, because we are like beyond this close to 20k. And don't forget to check out the sponsors of this video, our good friends Lindley's at lindley.co.uk, where you can get not one, but two great offers on your tyres. You can get £15 off 2 Falcon tyres, or if you're looking for a set of 4, they will do 40 quid off them if you use code LindleyFA23. Go to their website, get it booked in. They'll come out to you, to your work, to your home, wherever you need it. It's lindleys.co.uk. Scan the QR code or click on the link that's pinned in the comments. Okay, I am boiling with the news of this corruption today, because I've been saying for years, ever since I was a kid, Manchester United are the most corrupt team in the Premier League, and one day proof will come out of all my thoughts about them, and that day is today, because this has been discussed on TalkSport with Stefan, the financial expert, where they've been talking about Manchester United, and he has said, based not just on his maths but on other experts in his field, that Manchester United should have failed PSR last season because they were given exceptional circumstances on COVID allowances that allowed them 40 million. Yes, 40 million in write-offs. On top of that, the sale of the club, the 25%, whatever it was, to Jim Radcliffe, 35 million as well, that should have gone on the books, was cleared out, and they were given exception to that. Now, why does this boil my blood? Because we saw last year Forest obviously having their PSR issues. We saw the promotion bonuses that Forest tried to get exempt not being allowed. You've seen Everton as well with their capitalization issues, again getting punished. And then you hear about this news about how the Cartel Six, and in specific Manchester United, are basically allowed to write the rules how they want. Allegedly, who knows, probably brown envelopes being passed between them and that twat Richard, or Dick as I call him, in the Premier League. Why is it one rule for the Six, the Sky Six, and a completely different rule for the other 14? You're seeing teams like Newcastle, Villa, Forest, Everton, Leicester, all having to do this PSR merry-go-round, trying to play the system to get within the rules. Newcastle, who are probably the richest club technically in the world, cannot afford to spend the money they want to spend. Forest, who are backed by the Greek father himself, who is a billionaire, whose net worth is just colossal. He cannot progress this club how he wants to, at the pace that he wants to, because of all the red tape produced by the Premier League to let the big six get bigger and the other 14 just make up the numbers. I am fuming over this one because I am sick to death of the differential treatment that clubs get. If we're going to call this the best league in the world, if we're going to set the standards that high, then all 20 teams need to be treated absolutely equal. We saw Richard calling Forest and Everton small clubs last year. So already we know the mentality that they have and the thoughts that they have about the other 14 in the Premier League. And this is sickening beyond words. Now, to balance the argument, what I will say is our good friend Kieran Maguire has been looking into this, and he's released a tweet talking about it. He says, I've been asked by a few people to investigate the 40 million COVID allowance that Man U have had in the 21-22 accounts. He says there are the reasons for it. One, cancellation of Summer Tour 21, bad debt caused by commercial partner insolvency, And he goes on to say, club unable to fulfill sponsorship partnership obligations in summer of 21 and broadcast rebates, Premier League and UEFA. Because Man U are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, they have to disclose more information than other clubs, many of whom have COVID claims but not shown in the account. He says, conclusion, no corruption from the Premier League. Now, you know we love Kieran, but he's only giving us what he can see there. And as far as I am concerned, we are listening to what the other experts are saying as well. Stefan's saying he's never heard of any club that's had over $1 million allowance for COVID. So for Man U, whether or not they're disclosing more than that or not, because other clubs are not on stock exchanges, it doesn't matter. The fact is we are dealing with the numbers we can see right now. And right now it shows that because of the exceptional allowance that Manchester United got, they are being treated differently to how Forest were treated last season and Everton. And that is taking the absolute Michael. What do you guys think about all of this? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so let's move on to transfer stories now for Forest, and I want to start with Dominguez because there are rumours circulating today that Galatasaray are interested in him. We've heard of some whispers and things throughout the course of the summer about Turkish clubs being interested in him. Now, according to the reports that we've seen, it's saying that they initially were interested in Ibrahim Sangare. And again, we've seen 1 or 2 clubs being linked with him throughout this summer. However, their interest has now moved on to Dominguez to see if they can get a deal to get him across to Galatasaray. Now, let me set the record clear here. Dominguez for me is a starter. At the very worst, he's on the bench, and I do not want to see him sold. Forest picked him up quite cheaply, I think, last summer at about £9 or £10 million, and I think he's had a cracking season. He's one of those players who gets everywhere on the pitch for me. His work rates are phenomenal, and I would love to see him paired with Sangare in the 6 and the 8 for Nottingham Forest. However, what this report says, if it is indeed true, is that the links for Sangare that we saw a couple of weeks ago seem to have been batted away from Nottingham Forest, and they've basically said not for sale, if you read between the lines on these reports. And that's why the attention has moved away to the likes of Dominguez, who technically really has sometimes been on the fringes of the starting 11 for Nuno over the course of the last 6 months. Now, you can say maybe that was because of the injury that he allegedly picked up towards the end of the season. But also, as well, he seems to be subbed off every game, be it 60 or 70 minutes in. He seems to have gassed out. So are there any strengths in this report? Well, I would like to think not, because we've seen enough of Dominguez in the pre-season to suggest that he is definitely in Nuno's plans. You look at the Villarreal game, that gives you a sense and an idea of who Nuno wants in his squad going ahead into the Premier League campaign. So for me, maybe it's my biasy about how good I think Dominguez is. I don't think there's too much to worry about in this report, but if it does start to strengthen, we will keep you posted on here. But what I want to know from you guys is, do you want Dominguez to stay? If Forest were to say get a 15 to 20 million pound offer for him and look to make a decent amount of profit, do you think they should look to move him on? And we do know that Nuno likes a smaller squad size. And could this be one of the positions where he thinks we're overstocked in? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, let's move on and talk about the position that's starting to heat up for Forest as left back and striker. But we'll start with the left back position. We told you yesterday, I believe it was, that Forest were interested in Enrique from Monaco, and we've already told you the interest in Bradley Loku. Now, what's happened is Forest have kind of picked a lane here, and it seems to be that they are set on chasing after Loku. Now, this has been a long-term target for Forest since the start of the summer, and the talks and reports coming out today are that Forest are starting to think about making their move. We told you time and time again that Brest have said they will not undersell him in terms of their valuation, which is 15 million euros. And with Forest looking at Enrique, whose valuation is higher at 20 million, they may now be coming to the conclusion that paying in and around, or at least being able to get close to Bress's transfer requirements for Lukaku may be the better option. And I tend to agree. Lukaku is a quality player. Even if you haven't heard of him, watch what he's been playing like in the Olympics so far. Okay, that's not, you know, a full strength team game with the full squads, etc., but it gives you a flavor of what he is about. And he's a player that we would do really, really well to get in. He's the right age, the right profile, and I would be up for him as long as Einar is moved to the right hand side and not dropped to the bench, because Einar for me is one of our best players. So it sounds like, going back to the story, that Nottingham Forest have chosen the Lukaku avenue ahead of the Enrique side, and it looks like we should start to see some movement on this one. But if you had a choice of the two, one at 15 million in terms of Lukaku and one at 20 million in terms of Enrique, which way would you go? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's move on and talk about the striker position, and in particular Santiago Gimenez, who has been linked to Nottingham Forest from the Eredivisie. Now, we told you the other day that their valuation of him was quite high at around 35 to 40 million. It's actually come out now that they will not accept less than 42 million pounds, aka 50 million euros. But the question is, are these reports true, and do they have any substance behind them? Well, now there have been some articles coming out to confirm this, and I just want to read a quote from you here. We have been able to verify with people close to Gimenez that the speculation to Nottingham Forest is true, and Nottingham Forest do want Santi. There is a possibility that Forest may have made a formal approach to him. However, up until yesterday, there's been no official proposal put out for the Mexican striker. So that's quite interesting in itself. It shows that Forest definitely are in the running for Gimenez, of course, if that report in itself is true, and Forest are keen. However, the understanding and the feeling from the Gimenez camp is that he needs convincing to join Nottingham Forest. They are not top of his priority list if he were to leave to move into the Premier League. And that in itself puts me off him, to be honest. Again, if they are true, you do want someone a bit like Milenkovic. He was very keen on the idea of coming to Nottingham Forest, sold into the project and wanted to join. And that's the kind of attitude that we need going into this third season in the Premier League. We don't want people who are just joining for a paycheck, or people who are trying, or obviously trying, to use Forest as a stepping stone to, you know, window shop their way into a quote-unquote bigger club. We want people that are keen on joining and can see the way Marinakis and Nuno and the direction they want to take this club into. And I've not been fully convinced about him, mainly because my heart is set on Moukoko right now, because I think he would be the right player. Now, there are no links to him in Nottingham Forest, let me just make that clear, but he would be a lot cheaper with a lot more potential to come. So, back to Gimenez. Can I see this one happening? This, for me, sounds like if Forest can agree a fee on him, be it at 40, 42 million, whatever it is, it's going to take a lot of zeros on his weekly paycheck to convince him to come. And for me, I don't think that's the right way to approach it. But maybe we just get someone in who's going to bang the goals in, and does the rest really matter? What are your guys' thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments down below. And ladies and gents, that brings you up to date with your latest Nottingham Forest news. Looking forward to reading all your comments about all of the above stories. So get them in down below. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And make sure you go get your tyres sorted out with Lindley's, who have up to have... Ooh, words won't come out, who have 10 different locations in and around Nottinghamshire, and they will come out to you. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.